I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about rising costs and how they could affect your next holiday, and to share my advice on how to lessen the blow with a bit of prior planning and savvy decision making. We've already seen quite sharp price increases in holidays this year, not least due to soaring demand, but things like rising fuel surcharges. And it's not just the holiday costs, which on average were around 17% more expensive this summer, but the extras too: car hire, travel insurance, food. It all adds up and it is all going up. And just as consumers need to tighten their belts, businesses do too, and it's not just the UK that is suffering right now. When it comes to providing a 5-star hotel service with gourmet dining, it isn't really an option to switch out the triple cooked hand cut chips for a bag of frozen fries, or to refill the molten brown bottle with soap from the pound shop to minimise costs, not if you're paying for luxury. So what happens is the costs go up to allow the resorts to cover their bills and still provide the same level of service, which you will ultimately pay more for. Now, the next month, the next month, and the next month, it's only going to get more. So my first piece of advice here is, now more than ever, book your holiday early. Pay a low deposit now, and in 8, 9, 10 months' time, whenever you're travelling, you'll be so glad you did, because there's going to be a lot of people who leave it too late and their dream holiday becomes unaffordable. And I previously wrote a blog with loads more reasons why it pays to book early, which I'll pop a link to below. That's the first thing. There are going to be resorts that employ cost reduction tactics: cheaper food, less staff, no refurbs, things that will compromise their service levels and the customer experience in the process. And whilst the price tag might seem more attractive, guests will be desperately disappointed. And there's even more cost involved when that happens. So there could be two scenarios: book early with a low deposit, secure a great rate, and pay the same or only a tiny bit more for the level of service and experience you know and expect, which will represent good value. Or wait until you're priced out of your dream holiday and end up booking whatever's left on the shelf for much more money and a potentially substandard service that in the long run costs you even more to deal with and does not represent good value. And if that happens to you, you'll find it very hard to justify your decision on the basis that it was cheap, because it won't be. My second piece of advice is make sure you book your holiday with a trusted travel agent, a reputable company with great reviews who will financially protect you and have your back when you need them. I've heard so many stories this summer from people who booked their own holiday or were brainwashed by a bright and colourful website that provided terrible service. They end up on the phone, on hold, for actually hours on end, racking up huge phone bills and waiting months for refunds. These things are not okay at the best of times, but when money's tight, you don't want to be left out of pocket, spending hours of your time trying to resolve things and paying for the pleasure, when you could have your own travel agent to save you the job. And before you ask, my last point to make is this: the personal service that I offer my clients, the expert knowledge and advice, financial protection, 24/7 support in resort, all of those things, all of my clients get that at no extra cost, and that is not going to change. I run a digital business. I don't have a shop on the high street. I don't pay business rates. I don't run a data centre. All of these expensive facilities and services and overheads, I don't need them. And thanks to my unique client app, I don't even need to print paper anymore, and neither will you. So you can be assured that I personally won't be charging any additional service fees onto the cost of what is already likely to be an expensive holiday. I hope this has inspired you to think about when you book and how you book your next holiday to avoid spending a fortune before, during, or after you travel. Have a great weekend.